Hey there, Editor Joe here. Quick heads up, this episode has a few audio glitches and sudden cuts. I was testing out a new editing suite, and that ended up glitching up my original source files. And while I was recording this episode, I was also coughing up a storm. I did what I could to fix it in post, but I hope you enjoy this episode regardless. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the If You Can Dream It podcast. I'm your host, Joe Lozano, and today I'll be your guide through all the massive announcements from this year's D23 Parks panel. Now, first off, let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, it's been almost 2 full years since our last episode. My apologies, life just kind of got in the way, and I couldn't sit down and produce the show how I wanted to. So consider this to be a special episode while I still figure out how I want to reinvent If You Can Dream It. But before we get into our general track talk, we are joined today by our lovely guest. And my friend, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Derek, and I'm an avid Disney adult.
There's nothing wrong with that, but welcome to the show, Derek.
Honestly, this is a debut for
All
me,
right.
so hopefully things will go well.
It's a pretty chilled back show, so we're gonna have a fun time. It is currently thundering outside, so hopefully you don't hear the thunder in this recording. But let's jump into some general track talk and see what Disney actually announced during this year's Horizons, a Carousel of Progress panel. And because Disney did hit us with some massive announcements this year, or more or less updates, I've kind of broken everything down into a three-tier system. Tier 1 is going to be called Get Me on That Ride Already, which is the more concrete stuff with official names, story details, and clear timelines. Tier 2 is going to be Neat, but I want to hear more. These are more for like teasers where we just saw concept art and Disney kept the specifics more or less under wraps. And then tier 3 is, you sure about that? These are more blue sky concepts and last minute name drops. But before we cover any of those little tier systems, let's head to the international parks since there were some things announced for those parks, which Disney just kind of talked about briefly. So we're going to jump over to Disneyland Paris first. So Space Mountain will be returning to the original incarnation. I'm going to butcher this French name, so I'm sorry, French listeners. De la Terra a la Luna. So from the Earth to the Moon. So that was the original incarnation of their Space Mountain over there. It will be replacing Hyperspace Mountain, which has been running for the last decade. The ride will be reopening with the classic soundtrack with some visual upgrades and some special effects. So that's very awesome.
It's kind of weird. It is kind of a rare sight to see something where it's like they actually kind of backtrack a little bit on a ride and bring it back to stuff. Like they said, it's like original soundtrack and the original incarnation.
Yeah, I'm surprised about that one because before it was Hyperspace Mountain, it was called Space Mountain Mission 2, and it was just an upgrade. So it is kind of interesting that they are going all the way back to the original incarnation of the ride, but I'm kind of glad for this. I know that people are sick of the Hyperspace Mountain overlay, especially over at Disneyland, so pretty sure the Parisians are just happy they're getting rid of Star Wars because 10 years, even for an overlay, is kind of a long time. Glad that's happening. It's a cool ride, especially since it's the only Space Mountain that has inversions in it. So that's awesome. Continuing on the Space Mountain theme, we're jumping over to the Tokyo Disneyland Resort, where their Space Mountain, which is being built from the ground up, has just got its official name, and that is Space Mountain Earthrise. This will be a brand new indoor launch coaster, which will be opening in 2027 as part of their Tomorrowland overhaul. And along with that overhaul, we do have Sugar Rush Sweet Rescue, which is going to be an interactive dark ride opening in spring of 2027, where guests will team up with Wreck-It Ralph and Vanellope to clear sugar bugs and outsmart King Candy.
Yeah, it's like looking at the stuff for Tokyo, it's like I definitely want to go out to see Tokyo, Disneyland, and Disney Sea. And if it's around the time those two things come up, that will definitely be of interest, especially the fact that it's like we're seeing our first time Wreck-It Ralph attraction finally showing up.
Yes, exactly. It is going to be interesting to see how they incorporate Wreck-It Ralph in.
Yeah, because that one's it's like that's the easy part because with tech and everything, they can expand it from beyond that.
All right, now let's head back over to the States for our first tier, which is the Get Me on That Ride Already. And here are the confirmed heavy hitters dropping in the next few years. We're going to start at Magic Kingdom. First off, we're going to start up with the updated Carousel of Progress. This will be opening up in spring of 2027, and we'll be featuring the audio animatronic of Walt Disney at the very start of the ride. So, like they announced at the last D23 in 2024. So it's going to have that little pre-show with Walt Disney. So that's one part, and then the rest of the show will more or less continue as normally, so that's always exciting. Not to mention, we are getting a brand new voice cast, at least for Father and Mother. Father and Mother will be played by Bryan Cranston, as well as Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when they made the announcements for like the voice casting. It's like it could have been anybody. It's like, and they went with Jamie Lee Curtis and Bryan Cranston. It's like, and we're like, hey, those are people I know, and multiple generations of people would know.
Well, the thing with Carousel of Progress is that you need to get a voice actor that no one hates, and you have to get a voice actor that will captivate people for a 20-minute attraction. So you're kind of weighing the scales of popularity along with trying to something that's not going to bore people for 20 minutes. That show in general just needs TLC. And so I'm glad we're getting that upgrade.
It's like the possible future. It's like a lot of it has now happened. Let's get some new ideas in there.
Yeah, the fact that Tomorrowland we've caught up to everything now with that tech. So it's gonna be interesting.
There's still a few more bits of Tomorrowland that need a little cleanup to actually be more Tomorrowland-ish, but we're getting closer.
We're getting closer and closer. I'm glad that Tomorrowland is getting something because I know it was also rumored going into this D23 that something was going to be announced for our Space Mountain because it needs some TLC, but it didn't get anything. So that's always fun.
One step at a time.
I know Space Mountain is bumpy as hell. It's basically our Matterhorn, but I don't think they're going to do anything for right now.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. All right. We're going to jump across the park from Tomorrowland over to Frontierland. We're going to be talking about the Piston Peak Cars Land expansion. So we finally got the names for the two rides for this land, and those are going to be Cars Ridge Run Rally, as well as Miss Fritter's Daredevil Spin. So we're going to start with Ridge Run Rally. It's going to be a high-thrill off-road adventure traversing icy summits, camelback drops, caves, and geyser fields. I think it's going to also incorporate some of the motion controls from like motion vehicles like Indiana Jones. So that seems like it's going to be a fun ride. That's going to be a high-speed ride, definitely. What do you think about it?
I doubt it'll be high speed. It's like it's going to be more high thrills because it's a fact. It's like this is a rally race. It's like yes, there'll be some speed. It's like, and if you've ever experienced or viewed any of rally car racing, it's like there's a lot. You're dealing with a lot of bumps, uphill, downhill, and it's like they're definitely going to incorporate that pretty well. Where your high speed stuff's going to come in. It's like it'll probably be during descents at most.
Yeah, during the downhill is going to be absolutely just like here we're going to go. But let's jump over to the next ride, and that's going to be Mrs. Fritter's Daredevil Spin. Now, she's a character from Cars 3. She is a bus that's massive, so they confirmed that she's going to be an animatronic for the ride. As for the ride itself, it seems to going to be like a family spinner ride, similar to Junkyard Jamboree, and a little bit of Alien Swirling Saucers, where you're kind of dodging and weaving, going around like barrels that you'll quote unquote hit and smack into other vehicles, but it's a family ride. It looks cute though.
I agree. It's honestly an Alien Swirling Saucer, so it's like another one similar to this. Is like it'll be nice to have at another park.
Yeah, it's good. It's a nice little ticket attraction, which is good. We need those.
Honestly, I just can't wait to see the finished product.
Yeah, they didn't give us an opening timeline for this, but I'm assuming it's gonna be maybe, if I had to guess, 2028 at the earliest.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that.
All right, let's jump over to Disney's Animal Kingdom because this is the park that I'm very interested about because they are getting Tropical Americas, or I think the official name of that land is going to be Pueblo Esperanza. I believe that's it. It's going to be opening sometime in 2027. We finally got a name for all the attractions that are happening in that land. So first off, we're going to be covering Indiana Jones and the Myth of the Jade Serpent. Now, this is going to be set in the 1950s, pre-Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and this will feature the first ever Harrison Ford audio animatronic figure. So all the indies up to this point have not used the likeness of Harrison Ford. This will be the first one that will. So it's going to be an older-ish indie, more or less his appearance towards Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And the story of the ride is that guests are venturing with Indiana Jones, and they get sucked into the underworld, and they'll have to face multiple perils and come against the Jade Serpent itself, I'm going to butcher this, the Sukon. It looks fun. It's going to be where Dinosaur used to be. It's going to be using a lot of this. It's going to basically have the same track layout that Dinosaur had, and it's going to be using those electric vehicles that Dinosaur had, so which is great. for us because Indiana Jones uses hydraulic vehicles over in Disneyland, and that one has massive downtimes. I'm excited for it. What about you?
Oh yeah, an Indiana Jones ride in Orlando is exciting already. They've already shown some pictures already. It's like especially with the model of Sukan. Sounds like it was just a funny joke of someone talking about the car. So I was like, oh great. I wonder where they're going to put that giant snake.
And you're going to counter it like 3 different times. They've said like
Exactly.
you are encountering this thing a couple different times. So literally, where the Carnotaurus is or was, it's probably going to be the Sukon. So that massive drop at the very end before you get sucked back into the old Downland Institute is where that last one is going to be. All I'm wanting for this Indiana Jones is if I can actually see where the hell I'm going in this attraction, because that was my biggest
Yeah.
complaint in Dinosaur, was that it was just a dark box that shook you around for about 3 minutes with some lights and everything, and then it was over.
Yeah, young me did not enjoy it, but it's gonna be fun going through the queue for this upcoming one because of how they're painting all the various Central American architecture. It's like it's gonna look really good going through the lines at least.
Yeah, Indiana Jones rides have always had a banging queue. I was over in Disneyland Paris when I went on the Indy Coaster. The queue is awesome. You saw like their camp and a bunch of different vehicles. So I'm excited to see what this queue space is going to offer and what the storytelling potential is going to be.
And of course, everybody views like it's always going to be everybody's going to be hunting for Easter eggs because you know they're going to do that.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be looking for those white, yellow, and red pipes, or at least something that relates back to the Dino
Oh yeah.
Institute or Dr. Seeker. All right, shifting to the next door neighbor, we're heading over to Antonio's Fiesta de Encanto. So this is going to be our Encanto dark ride, where we're going to be stepping inside a casita for Antonio's gift day. So this attraction will be set within the actual movie. So this is going to be somewhat of a book report ride, at least showing off Antonio's room and hopefully the rest of the casita. There's going to be over 50 animals within the attraction, whether or not they're going to be animatronics or just statues. It's going to be different, but there are going to be about 50 of them. And the original film cast are returning for this attraction. So that's awesome when the original cast members come back for these types of rides. And the bonus of this thing is that there is going to be no hair requirement for this attraction, which hopefully there are going to be either a lap bar or seatbelts. I'm really hoping for seatbelts because the ride vehicles for this one look exactly the same as Rise of Resistance. Well, it's cool because the thing is, you're going up at all. You're going to be staying on one floor because before this was fully announced, there was a pattern that was found out for an illusion of elevation. So basically, for this ride, you're going to be going up that grand staircase that Casita has or they can create. But the thing is, you're not going to be actually changing elevation. It's going to be that illusion, kind of like how Spider-Man has that kind of illusion, but it's going to have that sensation that you are going to be going up a level in the house when in reality you're just staying on the same floor, which is really, really neat. So I'm going to be very interested to see how exactly
It's always nice to see. It's like how different rides come up with different tricks. It's like, I mean, I was also impressed like with Mickey's Runaway Railway, the way they've incorporated turning this 2D into a 3D situation.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm really interested to see how Encanto goes. That's the attraction that I'm most interested to see for this entire Pueblo Esperanza.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and jumping over to the final attraction that was going to be in this land, it's going to be the El Carousel de los Amelitos. So this is going to be a wooden carousel. It'll feature 22 iconic Disney and Pixar characters as their animal carousels. It's very, very cute. I'm so happy.
Like, it's nice to have another carousel. There's more than one character that I would want to select to go on.
You know everyone's going to be running for that Cusco one.
That wouldn't be my first choice.
Really? What would yours be?
Probably Squirt. My family is big turtle fans.
It looks fun. We're jumping over to Disney's Hollywood Studios, where Monstropolis got a surprise announcement that it's going to be doing a phased opening. So it's going to be opening in 2027, and it's going to be opening with Welcome Monstropolis, which is going to be the show inside of the Glob Theater, which is replacing Muppets Vision 3D. It's going to be starring Mike and Sully. It's going to be a 3D showcase, I think. And then it's going to be open with its dining and shopping locations. So it's going to have Archie's Scarab Pig Pizza, which is going to be the old Pizza Rizzo. Harryhausen Sushi, which is complete with the animatronic sushi chef, which is going to be where Mama Melrose used to be. And then the Scaraporium gift shop, which is where the old Christmas store from Grand Avenue used to be. So that's going to be fun. The only thing not opening in 2027 is going to be the yet to be named door coaster. That's still going to be in progress when the land initially opens. Now, Derek, I know you heard me when we were watching the panel
Yep.
together. I hate this idea. I think it's the absolute worst thing to do. This is the third time now that Disney has pulled these phased openings at Hollywood
What were
Studios.
the other times?
So Galaxy's Edge was the first time they did it. So they did it because Rise wasn't open. That opened later. They're doing it right now with Animation Courtyard because right now the only thing open in Animation Courtyard are going to be the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse live show and then the outdoor courtyard itself. They have yet to open the actual animation portion of that. So the character meet and greets, Mary Blair play place and the Olaf Draws show. Those are all opening next month. And now with Monstropolis, that's going to be number 3. It just doesn't work. I don't understand why Disney continues to do this.
It's funny you mentioned like all three of them are at Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, they're all at Hollywood Studios, which it just grinds my gears because I'd rather that Disney just hold off opening the land and wait for everything to be perfected because it just doesn't work. It's people are gonna get sick of that land so quickly.
Honestly, I was kind of surprised.
It just grinds my gears to no ends that this is yet another phased opening. Disney, just please stop it with this. Just make sure that everything works properly and then open everything. I don't care if I have to wait. Any comments about Welcome to Monstropolis? It's supposedly a 3D show. We don't know. In the concept art, they only like one person with 3D glasses. However, in the concept art they showed, they also had a scream canister shooting out of the screen, which is more or less probably going to be the effect they had for Swedish Chef or in the canon.
It's definitely a curiosity of what direction they go with this because that one is my main concern.
They haven't specified anything else yet about it. During the presentation, we just got the name of the show.
Yep.
We got the theme song of the show, which was written by Randy Newman. But it's going to be interesting to see how they pull it off, whether it is going to be another 3D show or if it's going to be glasses-free 3D, because I know they've also been looking at that as well. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to jump over to the West Coast to the Disneyland Resort and go to Disneyland California Adventure. And we're going to talk Avengers. Hooray! We got more updates about the Avengers e-ticket ride. So that's going to be Avengers Infinity Defense as well as Stark Flight Labs. We're going to talk first about Avengers Infinity Defense. So this has been the long-awaited e-ticket attraction that Avengers Campus has been waiting on. It's going to be using motion vehicles similar to Peter Pan's Neverland Adventure over at Tokyo Disney Sea. And along with that ride system as well, where it's going to be combining physical sets along with projected media. The original Avengers are coming back, so we're going to have Robert Downey Jr. back as Tony Stark, Chris Hemsworth back as Thor, Anthony Mackie as Captain America, Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, and we're going to have Iman Vellani back as Miss Marvel, and she's going to be part of our pre-show briefing, which is awesome. Hopefully she's also in the main ride as well.
Interesting.
It's going to be an interesting ride for sure. I'm glad they are using the Peter Pan's Neverland Adventure ride system because that system looked amazing. I'm glad they're going to have some physical set pieces in there and it's not just going to be a whole bunch of screens, which is everyone's kind of thing with Web Slingers is that it was just Toy Story Mania, but with hand gestures.
Hey, sometimes you need that workout. I'm looking out in the near future an excuse to get out to California. There might be one soon. Disneyland's on the priority list.
Yep. Jumping next door to Avengers Infinity Defense, we're going to be talking about Stark Flight Labs. So Stark Flight Labs is a weird mashup between a kind of conveyor belt ride with Kuga arms. So guests will be stepping into a gyrokinetic pod that will ride down a conveyor belt before it gets attached to a robotic simulator arm. And it's going to be randomized. So you're going to be training with different Avengers and you're going to be replicating Avengers that have the capability of flight. So every ride is going to be completely different on which Avengers you get. It looks like it's going to be a fun ride. The randomization factor is definitely going to help for re-rideability for that attraction too. But like it's weird because there's not a lot of flying characters that we have so far in the MCU.
It's just a lot of people also, they just jump good.
A lot of jumping in and falling with style, for lack of a better term.
And then there's Thor that uses some physics. Yeah, I'm just curious to see it in action, just to see how it maneuvers, because if it looks like a fun one just to get you off your feet.
Yeah, if you've been to Legoland, I don't know if they had it here. I know they definitely had it over Legoland in California. There used to be an attraction called Knight's Challenge, where it's basically this exact thing where you're sitting in like one of these vehicle attached to a Kuka arm, and either you could randomize it or you pick exactly like the thrill level you wanted. And that thing would just whip you around. Like you go upside down, you go side to side, you do some barrel roll action. And I'm thinking the Kuka arms are going to be exactly like that. I'm interested to see how exactly that is going to be incorporated with that conveyor belt system and the arms attaching and disconnecting. That's what I'm interested in. So shifting gears, we're heading over to Pixar Pier to talk about the Coco boat ride attraction. It's going to be a boat ride that's going to be set 1 year after the original film and in an undisclosed amount of time before the recently announced sequel film. Guests are going to enter a museum honoring Hector, and we'll be traveling back to the land of the dead through Miguel's memories. And there's no high requirement for this ride. And this one sounds exactly like a book report attraction, where we're going through settings from the original film while looking back at Miguel's memories. It looks cute. It's gonna incorporate audio animatronic skeletons. It's gonna probably use that tech that they were recently testing out in Pirates of the Caribbean.
I think this is California Adventure's first proper boat ride. I know they got the Rapids, but it's like I forget if they had any other ones in California Adventure.
Not really. So this is going to be its first kind of Pirates-esque style ride that California Adventure is going to get. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm going to be interested to see what this looks like.
Yeah, because they haven't even given it a proper name yet.
Yeah, no, this is just something that they just said, hey, we're giving you an update on this thing. But I'm glad we're getting updates on Coco. We certainly didn't get an update on the other thing that they announced many years ago for California Adventure, which we're going to talk about later. But that's going to do it for going to get me on that ride section. Now we're going to talk up to our next tier, which is the neat, but I want to hear more. These are going to be for concepts that look incredible, but Disney is keeping everything else under wraps. So we're going to go and jump back over to the East Coast and talk about Villains Land, which got its name confirmed as Villains Land. Oh boy. Did the naming department just get fired or something?
Honest, Disney World's like, no, we're gonna keep consistency there.
I got what they were trying to do, trying to keep the land motif. What's so funny, they say they love consistency, yet you don't hear Piston Peak called Piston Peak Land. It's called Piston Peak.
But they're considering it region of Frontier Land because technically it is.
That is stupid. But okay, it's inside. But come
Yeah.
on, Villains Land. It's just no. I'm sorry. We were all calling it because we didn't know what to call it, and that's official name now. It's just dumb. I don't like it. I hate it. We're getting off topic though. Villains Land is going to be the scope and the scale comparable to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge over in Hollywood Studios. So, are we all going to be villain bounding? Because that would be interesting.
It's a long walk from the entrance, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like this is all the way in the back behind Haunted Mansion. So far, they've given us updates on 2 attractions that they kind of shared. And one of those attractions is going to be a Maleficent themed coaster, and then a dark ride that takes place in the Evil Queen's palace that takes you through the Magic Mirror realms. It's not a boat ride. It just happens to be surrounded by smoky water, we'll say. That's all they showed in the concept art. That's all they really gave us. For some reason, they brought Glenn Close out as Cruella de Vil, which was the savior of that panel. I loved it.
If she definitely still can do it.
Oh yeah, she got it.
Everybody's jumped straight to Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's like, no, Glenn Close is like, I will still remember as Cruella de Vil.
Yeah, 100%. She is my Cruella. But yeah, I don't know why they brought her out. Some people are speculating that she's gonna get something.
Well, also the fact that during the announcement they said it's like this whole land, it's like each of the villains have come where this dark wishing well is kind of infested this whole land, and it's attracting all Disney villains.
I still think this land is weird. I know a lot of people love Disney villains, but for me, villains are only as good as their heroes. But hey, we're getting another coaster for Magic Kingdom.
Supposedly on another mountain.
Yeah, so Thorn Coaster. That's what I'm calling it. Because they showed thorns and so many other things. And you'll be entering Villains Land through the Dark Forest.
And of course, if it's going through a dark forest, that's probably it's gonna suffer the same thing as Dark Universe over at Epic, where it's like daytime, but then nighttime it'll probably look magnificent.
Oh yeah, it's gonna look incredible at night. Enough about Villains Land. We're gonna jump back over to Paris for Disney Adventure World, and they gave us a little bit of updates about the Lion King Flume ride. So, like they mentioned last year, or not last year, but the last D23, that this is going to be based on the original animated film, not the live-action hybrid animated film. They gave us some concept art of a confrontation scene between Scar and Simba, and I am thinking they're taking a play out of Universal's playbook for this one. This is going to be the scene right before the drop. And I say for Universal because that's exactly the same way that Jurassic World The Ride works, where they have a fight between the Indominus Rex, the T-Rex, Blue, and then the drop happens. So I have a feeling we're gonna see a confrontation with one side have Scar, the other side have Simba. They're gonna roar, and then we're gonna plummet down that drop.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that's the only way it's going to work.
Unless they somehow do it for Hakuna Matata, and then you just have a weird dark scene of the
Yeah, you're doing that big drop. It's got to be a particular climactic moment.
this is not just gonna be that Lion King ride out in the open. This is gonna be incorporated into its own Pride Land. We still haven't gotten anything about this, so I'm interested to see what they do. Lion King water ride, yay! Cats don't like water though, so we'll see. All right, this is going to be kind of covering two different places. We're going to jump over to Hong Kong first because we're talking about Spider-Man. So Spider-Man is getting two attractions. Actually, he's getting two attractions and a land. First off, at Hong Kong Disneyland, Spider-Man is going to be incorporated into a high thrill like elevator ride, so Tower of Terror, but with like 120-foot media wall, they said. So there's going to be action happening in front of you, on top of you, and below you. So that's going to be interesting to see exactly how that works, because it looks like it's going to be using, again, that tower ride system, just with some ick, so that's cool. And then over at Shanghai, Shanghai is getting an entire land just dedicated to Spider-Man that features a high-speed launch coaster, where the enemy is going to be the spider bots again. That's cool. That's really all I have to say about it. There's not really nothing more to talk about for that. We got these two concepts of either a drop tower or a coaster. Just happens to have Spider-Man.
Yeah, I feel like they're just trying to up it again with Hong Kong's drop ride. It's like they're probably going to at least start with the canvas that they did with Mission Breakout with doing all those screens.
Well, they already do with Hong Kong. It's not called Avengers Campus. It is the Stark Expo. Because you have, that's where the Ant-Man ride is. You also have the Iron Man experience, which is Star Tours. And now you're going to have this Tower of Terror-esque ride over there. But they haven't really said anything or how exactly this is going to work.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it looks cool, but I just need more. And I don't think we're going to get any more details of it until they are basically done and this thing is opened. That is my theory.
If we don't see anything sooner, they'll have to speak up in next D23 for those couple.
Well, I think for this one, it's going to be hard because this isn't a Disney-owned park. This is all the Oriental Land Company. So this is their stuff.
True.
So if they're going to announce anything, they're probably going to be doing the announcing.
Got it.
Spider-Man lands and Spider-Man's coasters and Spider-Man drop towers. Oh my. That brings us to the end of Tier 2 of our list. Now we're going to jump into what I like to call our very fun segment, the Are You Sure About That? And these are going to be for Blue Sky promises, unnamed teasers, and last-second name drops that left us with raised eyebrows. And the first thing in this section is going to be one of the things that's possibly going over to Epcot, and that is a Spaceship Earth overhaul. Now, they've tried to do this once before, back in 2019, where they're going to refocus the narrative of Spaceship Earth and change it from the evolution of communication to the evolution of human connection. And the only concept art that we got about this was a coming soon, or the next chapter, was a little comet light, and that looked exactly like the story light that they had also announced for Spaceship Earth to get back in 2019. That was eventually scrapped. Right now, the current version with Dame Judi Dench has lasted almost 20 years, and this would be the first official update that Spaceship Earth has gotten in the last 20 years. But honestly, I don't see it happening because the last time they said this is happening, the pandemic happened, and then it just kind of got canceled. Like, no fanfare or anything, it just kind of stopped. And the only real thing that Spaceship got was Geo 82, and that was it. So I'm gonna say it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, it's like I remember they proposing the refurb. I thought it was they'd like go from communication to storytelling was the first attempt, but now they were doing communication to connection.
I mean, storytelling is connection.
Yeah, but they specifically said storytelling the time before.
Yeah, but I think they're still gonna try to reframe the story lights as something that showcases that human connection somehow.
New voice recording.
Oh yeah, they're gonna have to get a brand new narrator.
It's that, and then the second part is fixing the silly interaction part on Ezra coming back down.
Oh, they get rid of that completely.
Mm-hmm.
All right, jumping to our next. Are you sure about that? It's gonna be fixing Expedition Everest's Yeti. Now, Disney has claimed that they have finally have the technology and a plan to fix the Yeti inside of Expedition Everest, which has been stuck in its B mode, or as it's been lovingly known, disco mode for the last 20 years. When we were watching the panel, you heard me say this
Oh
is
yeah.
bullshit the second they announced this. Because Joe Rody back in 2013 announced the same thing. He was going to fix that damn Yeti, and then he left the company in like 23. He was brought back as an advisor or something like that for Imagineering. So they're claiming that they're going to fix it. But the thing is that they've had to reiterate and say, no, we're fixing the original Yeti because the concept art they gave had a different Yeti with different positionings, but this is going to be the exact same Yeti. The problem I see with this is that Yeti has caused so much structural and foundational damage to that ride. It's not going to be a quick open. Expedition Everest is going to be down at minimum a year and a half to 2 years because they have to excavate the mountain just to get to the damn Yeti, take the Yeti out, take care of the structural damage, figure out if they're going to just put smaller servos into the Yeti that are more lightweight and have less power, or if they're going to build a brand new Yeti and then seal up that mountain again. But again, this thing is not going to be happening anytime soon. They will have to wait for Tropical Americas to be completely open. I'm going to say if they're going to start this, it's going to be more or less a year after Tropical Americas opens, and they know the gas throughput of that land, because again, you're going to be losing a major attraction for close to 2 years for this to even happen.
Yeah, I've watched several documentaries and TV shows that talk about Disney World, and it always comes back to that Yeti. It's like my thing is they need to do a documentary series on how, or it's like how they came up with the solution and showing them actually fixing it, and then it's like the ending of said documentary has to be 6 months later, not opening day. If you do not end it on opening day, you got to come back 6 months later to show the stuff they did work.
So have an epilogue.
Exactly. It's like you need a proper epilogue to show. It's like, because yeah, you might have the solution, but it's like, is it going to be a short-term fix, or it's like, or do we come back 6 months, a year later, and there's now a new problem?
This is going to be the next Leslie Iwerks documentary on Disney Plus. It's going to be called "Fixing the Yeti."
Oh yeah, but I definitely agree. It's like if they're going to even think about doing that, it's like they gotta wait till Tropical Americas. Because with Animal Kingdom, it's like you only have so many attractions and shows at that park. When you get, it's like if you had that while Tropical Americas is still in progress, you're suffering, and people are not going to be paying the ticket prices for that. But and it's the other thing. It's like not just with Tropical Americas. It's like it's just a fact of right now you got construction crews at Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios working on 2 different lands. Like it's like you can't even get anybody right now over there because they're working on other projects that we know are happening.
Yeah, this is the most amount of projects that have been happening at any of the Disney parks. So yeah, I don't believe this is going to happen. This is going to get shelved. People are going to moan about it, but then they're going to forget it. And that's going to be jumping over to our next thing. So we're going to be jumping back over to the West Coast, talking about Disneyland. And this was the Tomorrowland revamp, and this was a kind of like said last minute and passing at the very end of the panel, where they briefly teased for Disneyland's upcoming 75th anniversary they are going to update Tomorrowland, or at least fix Tomorrowland to be in a better state than it is. They didn't say how they're going to do it. They just said it's going to be something for the 75th anniversary of Disneyland, so you got 5 years, but I don't see anything else you can really do in that short 5-year time window. It's going to be interesting to see exactly what they do and if they do it at all. And the one thing I don't have in the notes that they didn't talk about, and I almost didn't want to talk about, but we got to talk about it. What is happening with the Avatar experience? Yeah, they didn't mention it at the actual panel. They had a model inside the Imagineering booth showing the land, and that was it. What's going on with this, Disney? Are we canceling it? Are we not canceling it? Because the thing is, I believe people are getting, if not already have, Avatar fatigue after the second movie. People after that first movie were crazy about Avatar fever. Disney announced that Avatar was coming to Animal Kingdom. They loved it, and that was basically it. Then they bought Fox. Then Avatar came under the Disney umbrella. Way of Water came out. It was okay. Then Fire and Ash came out, and I think it did worse at the box office actually than Way of Water.
It still did okay, but yeah, it's like less than Way of Water, but still did efficient enough.
But I don't believe they're going to be making any more Avatar sequels, because I think they needed this one to be a hit, and I think they're going to stop it. I think the plan was for James Cameron to more or less write a book about what would have happened after Fire and Ash. But this land was teased at the last D23, so in 24. They really showed us nothing besides concept art, and one of the pieces of concept art was a boat ride that looks similar in fashion to the Shanghai Pirates boats. So a lot of people were excited for that, and it was also one of the main contributing factors for the Disneyland Forward project, I think, to get that green light, but nothing's been said about it. They didn't mention at this panel. They delayed the closure of Monsters Inc. Mike and Sully to the Rescue because originally it was supposed to close in like January of this year, and they moved it back all the way to 2027. So is this land even still happening? Who knows? And then finally, at the very end of the Disney's Horizon panel, they teased that Dreamfinder will be returning to the Imagination Pavilion and Journey into Imagination. So somehow they're bringing Dreamfinder back. So whether that's going to be a new version of Journey into Imagination or something, Dreamfinder is coming back. Now, I would like to say this isn't going to happen, but the fact that they said this, they have Neil Patrick Harris behind it, Disney fans are going to riot if this thing does not happen, because they've been asking for this for years and they will not let this go, considering the fact it was stated on a public stage with over 15,000 people inside the Honda Center, but also to everyone online.
Yeah, it's that thing when it comes to presentation. You're closing out with something big. You think that there's at least going to be truth to that matter. Put it right at the end. It's like people are going to definitely highly believe that.
Oh yeah, legitimately, this happened at the very end of the panel, right before Beck did an entire performance of Where It's At, and that was the end of the panel. This was your one last thing moment that Dreamfinder is coming back. So say your goodbyes now if you want to Moon Eric Idle, the terrifying Moon, but you probably might be saying those goodbyes for a while now. But yeah, that was basically the end of D23. That's all that was really announced. They had some cruise ship stuff that wasn't really important. What do you think of the Horizons Carousel of Progress panel, Derek?
Yeah, I guess like the panel itself, like it was definitely quite a fun show, but there was only one or two surprises for me. But it's like most of them, I think I got spoiled because I was browsing social media and they had some of the early views of everything, and there wasn't anything new.
Yeah, it was more or less this panel, which is updates galore.
But I mean, look at it from like Blue Sky to now. A lot of the stuff from the previous D23s was at least us moving forward. It's like Avatar is probably the only one I think that's gone a step backward at the moment. Like everything else, they kind of were staying true to.
Well, keep in mind that the last D23, so the one in 24, that panel was all about stuff happening in the next 6 to 8 years.
Yeah.
And this one was more about just updates of like that. Yeah, we're still working on that, or we're not going to talk about it, so don't mind us.
I mean, from the previous ones, at least I see that they were still making progress.
But yeah, that's D23. We wrapped it up and everything, and this is going to be the end for this episode of If You Can Dream It. Derek, I want to thank you again for coming on board with this magical journey of all the announcements.
Honestly, this was really fun, and I hope that we can get a few more going forward because there's plenty more to chat about it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to try and figure out how I'm going to revitalize If You Can Dream It, because I love doing this. It's just really hard being a one-person podcast studio and trying to get guests on, because this show literally lives with guests. It kind of suffers when it's just me talking. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you guys for listening. We hope to chat with you again and hope to see you in the queue. Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand clear of the doors.